Thank you for listening to the Speaking with Confidence podcast. Give us a review to tell everyone why you love the podcast. You can also download, like, and share the podcast with friends. Be sure to visit formingforpublicspeaking.com and sign up for Forming for Public Speaking course. It's a step-by-step system to help you become the confident and powerful speaker you've always wanted to be. Speaking with Confidence, a podcast dedicated to helping you unlock the power of effective public speaking. I'm Tim Newman, a recovering college professor turned communication coach, and I'm thrilled to guide you on a journey to becoming a powerful communicator. I want to thank each and every one of you for your support. It truly means the world to me. Please visit timnewmanspeaks.com to get your free ebook, Top 21 Challenges for Public Speakers and How to Overcome Them. Today's guest. I love all my guests, but today's guest is a very special guest. You've heard me speak of her before. It's my beautiful wife, Jennifer Newman. Jennifer, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I joke that you started off at 4'7", you're down to about 4'2" or 4'3" now. That's why you can kind of short on the camera. But everybody, this is the first installment of a new segment that we plan on doing, where we talk to husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, significant others that actually work together or are entrepreneurs together running businesses, talk about the challenges that they have in communication, going from their work roles to their home life to parenting roles and so forth. You know, communication is hard enough as it is, but when you start to mix in all the different hats and different things that you have to navigate, it makes it even a little bit more difficult, wouldn't you say?
Most definitely. That's an understatement.
So let's tell everybody a little bit about you first before we even really get started. You're a retired educator. You taught 28 years in Baltimore County school system. Mm-hmm. You had various roles. You taught math, you taught social studies for a while, but you finished up as your career as a teacher trainer. So you traveled around the county helping new teachers become effective teachers.
Correct. New teachers become effective teachers, and those teachers who were veteran teachers who were not meeting the standards, I had about 6 months to help them improve in order to keep their jobs.
And so then you retired. Mm-hmm. Then you moved on to a different role with the Golfweek Amateur Tour, where you're still employed there, where you are responsible for all the training and development of all the tour directors across the country. Right. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that is a position where I work with the tour directors all over the country. I go through and train them, get them ready, especially the new tour directors, go through everything that they need to do to prepare, to run effective tournaments, to get through the season. I deal with in the brand, making sure they're upholding their part. Really, pretty much just get them doing the best they can do in delivering the product and services that the Golfweek Amateur Tour is known for.
And your final role, or one of your final roles, is also you're the short realtor.
Yes, I am. So, the name that you came up with for me that has absolutely stuck.
And well, you keep getting shorter, so I don't know what else to do with you. But anyway,
don't believe what he's saying about my height.
So we've been married for a whole bunch of years, 20 high 20s.
Just short of 30.
There's that word again.
Uh-huh.
But in that time, we have done pretty much every venture that we've gotten into. It's been a joint venture. Pretty much everything we do, we each have a role in that. In some way, shape, manner, or form. Even when we were teaching, I was a new teacher, and I relied on you a lot for, obviously, some training. But, we have some roles, like with the Golfweek Amateur Tour, and this is I think, is a really unique position for us where we both work with the tour. There are some times when you're my boss, and there's sometimes when I'm your boss. And how does that dynamic in your eyes work? And kind of remember now, it's on camera, so you got to be nice.
I know I'm thinking about exactly what I want to say because we're on camera and you told me to be nice. It's challenging. That I would say that it's challenging. I think the biggest thing is balancing our personal relationship with whatever the dynamics are in terms of who's, quote, in charge. Because at the end of the day, we go home together. When we show up, sometimes it's hard, in any relationship. I don't care who you are, how long you've been together. Anybody who thinks relationships are easy and it's always great is not being honest, or I don't know how to put it, because the reality is there's always ups and downs, even in the best relationships. So there are times when bringing your home relationship into a business, or, the roles that you play, is difficult. Now, there are also times when the opposite is true. It's very easy and that comes through. But I think that at times it's hard,
What do you think is the most difficult thing? Is it the role that you play and that I play? Is it the communication style? Is it the individual situations that run into that cause the communication issues?
In terms of what makes it challenging, that's how you're framing the question. So, this will come as no surprise to anybody that knows the two of us. We'll probably have very different answers for that. For me, the hard part is that, number one, I tend to show everything on my face. If I'm feeling something, in any kind of way, it's going to show up. It's going to show up in my face, my body language, and then it carries over to my communication. Not like you with your resting, what face where you don't necessarily see it. So people who know me and interact with me will know if something's wrong or if everything's great and okay. So for me, the challenge comes into that personal interplay. And if I feel like I've got to put something aside because we're in a different role in a different relationship, which I have no problem doing. Like, I understand that we have different roles. At the end of the day, we're clear that we're good, our relationship is good, and that at times we switch into different roles. But for me, the hard part is making that shift so that in my own mind, I'm separating it and transitioning from one to the other. Once I do that transition, everything's fine.
I would tend to agree with you in terms of making that transition. I think if I look at the two of us, I think I make that transition much easier, much quicker than you.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of the times, because of that, and because of the way that we communicate, I think sometimes that is probably one of the biggest causes of our communication problem.
Yes, because
Go ahead.
Because right, this is a perfect example, because you're saying that and I'm ready to jump in and say something, which is one of the things that we have as a communication style and difference, because as soon as I'm ready to say something, the words are going to come out of my mouth and I have to stop myself. So you're absolutely right, because what happens is you make that switch, you're ready, and you're expecting me to be ready at that same time. And we're almost never ready at the same time. And so when I have to catch up, I'm going to frustrate you, because you're like, Jen, come on, let's go. And for me, I need that minute. I need to be able to step back. Once I get to that point, it's fine, because anything that isn't related to what we're doing then and now, I'll put it aside, compartmentalize, and move on. Right. But yeah, it's because we approach things differently. communicate differently, handle things differently. But in the end, it's all about, we have the same goal. We have the same, end in mind. We just get there in different ways.
Yeah. Now, especially like when we're dealing with a tour, that's something that's very different from the other ventures that we're involved in, because when we're dealing with a tour, we're directly dealing with our members,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the times, we've got to make, especially on tournament days, we're moving fast.
Yes.
Things happen very, very quickly, and a lot of times decisions have to be made, really quickly, and I think that also is a prime target for communication problems, because I know a lot of times what will happen is I'll just make decisions and not even tell you about it. And then what ends up happening is, when it comes down to it, you may be responsible for a piece of it, and I've done something and I haven't communicated.
And vice versa.
But for that is generally on me. Those types of situations. Yes, you do it too, but I think that is, for me, one of the biggest issues. And again, with the tour, being in charge of training and development, and I've been doing that for so long, I've got my own certain way of doing things.
Do you?
I do.
No, can't possibly be.
And that may not be the way that it's supposed to be done now. And I'm just hard charging, doing it my way.
And that's why sometimes when, again, it goes back to that juggling in the back and forth, because there are times that, number one, it's an event that you're running. You're in charge. You're the boss of that event. And I'm there supporting you. I am always, though, a member of the national office responsible for certain things. So in the moments when I do something based on my role, and I kind of forget at times that it's your event, God help me when that happens. But when it does, and I go forward and I make a decision and I act on it, I think the biggest conflict comes in when then you come back and say, well, you're not in charge of this, but I'm still always responsible for the brand. And it gets difficult in those moments in our communication. And then in addition, how it gets communicated to everyone else.
Right. And I think in that instance, the majority of those times that those are problems, I think we look at customer service in two different ways.
We do.
And the way I'll let you explain the way that you look at it in a second here. The way I look at it is, I'm going to take care of these people right now. I'll deal with whatever on the back end, but when I'm face to face with somebody, my responsibility is to make sure that they're taken care of, in the best way possible. Now, obviously, we're not going to break rules. Obviously, we're not going to, do things that are crazy, right? But I'll make decisions, in the moment, what I think is best to take care of one of our golfers, so that number one, they walk away happy, so that I know that they're going to come back and so forth.
Right.
And again, that may not always be the right way, but I'll take the whatever happens on the back end.
Right. And it's similar. It's similar and different, because part of my job is to support all of my tour directors. And so there are times when I watch you do something and I think, no, please stop. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. And I have to take the step back and say, okay, but I'll support you. You're my director, and we'll handle behind the scenes what needs to be done, and you'll take whatever it is, that's fine. And then there are times that those players come to me and I have to say, yes, I understand. I will take care of it and we'll deal with it. So there are times that I'm doing the same thing from a slightly different perspective.
Right.
But in the end, it's okay because the people who we're serving, I think, and this goes back to the communication piece, it's always about listening to what somebody has to say, making sure that they feel valued, they are heard, and that you let them know that you'll take care of it. And, sometimes that means that we have to clean up messes that either one of us or both of us have made, but it's always about making sure that we are respecting, honoring, and serving our players, our members, our customers. And I think that's where the benefit comes in between our personal relationship, because we've got 30 years of experience together, knowing that in the end, it's always about that end product, and we will get worked out whatever needs to get worked out and be accountable, because we're headed in the same place.
Right. Now, you know that one of my favorite movies is Tin Cup. Obviously, we're talking about golf.
Know where this is headed?
There's conflict, right? When we're,
Trying really hard not to interrupt you here. Yeah.
when we're in the midst of something, or something doesn't go right, or whatever happens, right? Because just so everybody knows, there's never, ever any event that goes 100% smooth sailing. But as long as the people attending the event don't know about it, it's okay, and we have to clean things up on the back end. I'm the person that is always looking. I mean, if something's, I notice everything. If something's not right, in an attempt to be perfect in this, that, and the other thing. And a lot of times when that happens, I'll say something to him. He turned into Romeo from Tin Cup. By the way, Romeo always quits. He always quits.
Because you never listen. So think about this. When Romeo quits, it's because he has a job to do in keeping Kevin Costner on board, focused, getting to a certain point. And he knows what the right answer is, what the best way to approach it is. His job is to tell you that and to execute. And then what happens in Tin Cup is Kevin Costner says, basically, forget you, do what I want and do it now. And then Romeo does it, and it continues because he's hard-headed and stubborn until eventually it gets to the point where the train wreck is full-blown, and then Kevin Costner still isn't listening, so he quits. That's exactly what happens here.
Is it? Is that what happens?
Yes.
But you always quit.
You never listen.
See what happens?
Real simple.
So
what was your question?
Well, I know. So close to 30 years. Let's take a step back now.
Okay.
Our kids are grown.
Thank God.
Got our grandkids now. Let's talk about our communication styles. I think they've if they haven't evolved over that amount of time, I think we're doing something. That's just life in itself. But how have you seen my communication style evolve? Let's just say in the last 10 to 15 years.
I think that, all kidding aside, I think that you've gone from everything being completely black and white, no gray. Everything has to be a certain way, your way or the highway, however you look at it. I think that you've learned that there are a lot of gray areas and that there are lots of ways to approach things and do things, and that you've become more flexible, more responsive to other perspectives, and that what that's evolved into is, number one, you are a you are a better listener. You are you come from you always tend to come from, even though it doesn't seem like it in the moment, you tend to come from it's always a problem solving type of perspective. It's let me hear what it is. Definitely are a fixer. You want to fix things. You want things to be done in a certain way. But I think that you bring to the table nowadays a calmness, especially in times of crisis, that then you're looking, how can I make this a win-win? Now, there still are the times when you're very abrupt, or you're not as abrasive as you used to be. So I think you've just you've softened, and your delivery is better. You're not as so quick to be triggered to, go into instant, this has to be done and fixed. But you still have that no nonsense kind of way about yourself. How does that ring true?
I think the majority of that is really pretty spot on.
Yeah, there's always something you'll criticize and not criticize, but
I think what really resonates is the idea that I'm a much better listener than I. I think I've always been somebody that's been good in crisis.
You have.
No matter what's going on, if there's a problem, I think I'm good at taking a step back, taking a deep breath, really analyzing the situation, and then making calm, cool decisions and being able to direct whatever has to happen. At times, not that being direct is good or bad, it just is. But at times now, I find myself being direct and questioning, should I have been so direct? And that is something that I don't think that's something that I've noticed in talking and communicating.
Can you explain a little more when you say that you question it?
When I say question is that maybe I was a little bit too harsh. And I go back and forth. Yeah, but sometimes being harsh is okay. Sometimes being that is really fine. And that's where, I'm really kind of, obviously, question myself and the style. Think about it like this. Obviously, our kids are older now. And they're adults, married.
With their own kids?
Their own kids. And they still do things that just aggravate me. And those those are really some of the times that I'm talking about. Okay. It's really with the kids. Why are you still doing things that way? That we've been over and over again that don't work. And then, they come to me and want me to fix it or clean it up.
I don't ever think that about you. Just saying. But I was being sarcastic there because the shoe fits. You do the same thing over and over again, and then come to me to fix it, and that's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
But that's.
See, this is the dynamic here, right?
Yes, exactly. But again, so you talk about that dynamic, right? I say this a lot. I don't take myself very seriously, but I take what I do seriously. I take, we'll just leave it at that. I take what I do seriously, and I I do take the whole idea of continuous improvement and getting better and self-reflection, really pretty seriously, especially, when there's issues like kids doing the exact same things over and over again. And we ask. And I tell them at times too, I swear to God, I'm going to stop helping you. They look,
say that to everyone.
and they look at me and they laugh and they say, no.
As your knife hand right now. Welcome to my world, everyone.
True story. But yeah, I think that's important for everybody to be self-reflective and go back and really look at how they can improve in situations instead of doing the same things over and over again and wondering why somebody's not listening or wondering why the message isn't being communicated. It's not always the other person's, I wouldn't say fault, but it's not always their fault that they're not getting the message. Maybe you have to find a different way of communicating that message.
Well, I think one of the things that you're saying in this to me is, again, the double-edged sword of what works well and what doesn't in partners in business and communication, because we have that history and we know each other so well, and because we have such a history of trying to help the other person be the best version of themselves that they can be. And because we have that trust in understanding that we will be critical of each other, like a positive critical of each other, and that we will be honest with each other, that, we're both very reflective people personally, and we're also very, we depend on each other to give honest feedback. Mm-hmm. That what happens is you're always looking at me, just like I'm always looking at you, as what did we do well? What did we not do well that we can improve on? What's working and what's not, and sharing that. Mm-hmm. And so I think that that's part of that dynamic. And if it's something in our personal communication, because you say to me all the time, you don't communicate with other people this way. Why are you doing this with me?
Sure.
Because that's part of our dance. That's part of the ongoing thing. But so when it's something in our relationship and it plays out in our working relationship, and you say that, and I'm thinking, you're right. I wouldn't have handled it that way with somebody else. So how can I do it? And then when we take something in business and apply it to our personal. So I just think that it's that constant back and forth, and it's the close relationship that has, sometimes it's hard to work together, but the advantage of it is that we truly do, try to bring out the best and make it better. And I think that comes through in everything in the end when we apply it.
I know it definitely comes through in the end. Whether we're getting it right or we're getting it wrong. Mm-hmm. Because let's be real honest, it's you're never always going to get it right, but you're never always going to get it wrong either. There's that, I wouldn't say the ebb and flow, but that continuum. And
well, yeah, I think for us, and I don't know how many people who are watching and listening and hearing this, but for us, we're both such high achievers. We set the bar. We're perfectionists when it comes to what we do. So I think that, as we're saying this, I think it's a little skewed because we do a good job together. We are a good team. We balance each other out overall, especially in business and how we deal with people. So I think that we tend to see a lot of what we don't do well in areas when you say, we didn't do it right. But I think that so much of what we do very well. And then we are often very critical of ourselves as to what's wrong and always looking to improve. So I don't want it to come off, you keep saying challenges and what don't we do. and I think that it's coming through again. We're always looking at how do you make it better. But I think we do a lot really well.
I 100% agree with you. And this isn't going to come as a shock to you. And you may notice this, and it's going to be kind of a little bit of a story here, right? I don't know if everybody realizes this, but every episode that I do, doesn't matter if it's this podcast or the Golfweek Amateur podcast, there has never been one episode where I haven't mentioned family. Whether it's you, whether it's the girls, whether it's the grandkids, what have you. And I think it goes back to the things that we value. And, you know, when we got married and we really talked about how we wanted our life together to be, we prioritized each other. We prioritized the kids and making sure that we were taking care of the kids, but our goals in life and what we value is helping people. And making sure that whatever it is that we're doing is that we're moving the ball forward and helping people. And so I think, to get back to it, trying to make sure that we're better. You know, going back and looking at how could we have done better, or even though we may have helped whoever, right? It could be the golf tour, could have been our students, could have been your client, could have been the people in the Speaking with Confidence community, what have you. They may have felt really good and valued, and wow, they really helped out here. But our mission is, how can we have done that better? And I think that's one of the things that in terms of our communication, that is a true positive that has really enabled us to be better. If that makes sense.
It does. It's and I think part of it, I think, is exactly what you said. It's that always applying it to something. So, like, listening to what you had to say just now in your answer and how it plays out, you know, you did an episode on Speaking with Confidence. I don't remember the name. I can picture her. I can't think of her name. And was talking about the Myers-Briggs and introverts and...
Oh, Stacey Chazen.
Okay. And
anyway, Stacey Chazen is phenomenal. That episode was really good. Talks about being introverts and go back and listen to that episode.
Absolutely. And so for me, listening to it as somebody, when you talked about my teaching career, you left out the majority of it, which was in school to career and career technology education, and playing an integral part of helping high school students figure out what they wanted to be in life, and how you can, I spent literally 20 years working with helping individuals figure all that out. So listening to that episode, as somebody who was very familiar with the content, and she did such a phenomenal job of explaining it and how it applies. And as I listened to it, I thought, wow, I just learned a lot about my husband, because the two of you were talking about being an introvert and how you communicate in times of crisis, mm-hmm. and how you tend to sit back and think, and you don't say a whole lot. And then, especially in a point of crisis, then when you do speak, you've already formulated a plan, because that's just how you're wired. And so I think that what you were just saying in terms of we're always looking to help people. And I think that whether it's the Speaking with Confidence, whether it's the Golfweek Amateur Tour, whether you're talking about family, you're talking about golfers, your tour directors, it doesn't matter. There's always a piece of bringing out what they do that helps people and how you help people and how we help people. And I think that it comes through, and it is that reflective, introspective piece of how can we do it better that is what we use and apply. And I think that one of the things that I'm so proud of you and of us is that ability to keep learning, to keep growing, to keep applying, and be the best we can be and help other people achieve their dreams, whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's funny when we're at golf tournaments. You know, we joke and I say that I don't really do anything. You do all the work, and on a certain level, that's 100% true. My job there is to
Be the face that everybody
face.
loves
Yeah,
to talk to.
yeah, this face, pretty much face. Um, and we joke, you're always right. It, you are pretty much almost always right in the things that you say. You know, especially from being able to take a step back and evaluate um, from that perspective. And you know, where I'm almost always right on other types of things, right? I mean, and it's good to have that. It's good to be able to have that balance in the way we approach things and the way our minds. Just think about where we would be if we didn't have it. I don't think either one of us would be nearly as successful in the things we've done without having that yin and the yang, without having that other piece.
Well, I think not only that, but I think again it goes back to why we're sitting here today with this, and that is that people who are in relationships together, who um they I lost my train of thought there for a second. Surprise, surprise. But people who are in relationships together and have that history and that connection, and what that brings to the table when you are working together, entrepreneurial together, it's that teamwork, it's that comfortability, it's the how you balance each other, and that you're always there for each other. And I think that it just goes back to those patterns, whether it's a communication pattern, it's the dynamic of your relationship. It's that if you are in a positive relationship with somebody, whether it's personal, professional, or otherwise, you are doing things well together and it comes through. And I think that it's just all part of it. It's learning how to make the most of it and deal with the challenges and how you adapt and adjust and what you do. But it's always a partnership, and you know.
So from your perspective, obviously we've been at this, a long time, and we have multiple friends that are kind of in the same, I would say, dynamic where they husband, wife, significant other work together, in businesses together, what have you. And it seems to me that this is something that is way more common now than, let's just say, when we got married or were young. I don't, or maybe we didn't necessarily notice it, but I perceive that it's becoming more common, more socially acceptable to have those partnerships and that dynamic. Truthfully, that
I don't know. I don't know if you may be right. I haven't thought about it from that perspective. I think that I look at it and I just think that I think we find out more. I think we're more aware of people who are doing it because we're so open and we joke around about it. I think that's part of it. I think that we're comfortable with it. We joke around, we mention it, and so then other people mention it. I don't know if it's more common or if it's the same. You know, it's kind of like when you're driving down the road and you see your same car and all of a sudden, like, you notice it more because it's your car. So I don't know. I have no basis to do that other than, I think that you also tend to see a lot of, see people who are like you.
Right.
So I think that it comes from, uh, uh, being around people who are team players and finding out who their team is.
Yeah.
But you could be right too. I've never thought about it.
So, what's a piece of advice that you would give to a couple who's either in the throes of it or getting ready to do a business together, work together? What advice would you give?
I think the big thing, the things that come immediately to mind is to, number one, have to be comfortable that your relationship is strong. Not perfect, but strong. So you've got the relationship that you can, get in the throes of it and have an argument and know that everything's going to work out, or that you can come back to that and work it out later and still be able to do other things. And that you have that ability to communicate and the commitment to work through it. I think that's one thing. I think that you have to also have the confidence in yourself individually to know that we're partners, we're working together. You might be in charge, I might be in charge, it doesn't matter, but who we are as individuals, our personalities, all of those things, like, we're comfortable in our own skin, so that we can do this individually and together without losing your identity and how you do things. And I think that it also is important that you have you have to be willing to give yourself some grace and your partner some grace and also some space, so that, I don't know how many times we're in the midst of something and I just say, you got to give me a couple minutes. Maybe I just walk away and come back and then we can talk about it or deal with it. So I think you have to have, both some ground rules in how you're going to approach things and the flexibility to roll with things and figure it out later and be able to lack of a better word, compartmentalize or, focus on certain things at certain times. So, it's kind of a big package, but those are the things that I'd say. What about you?
You stole one of my answers, but I would,
Because we're here.
I would completely agree. First would be, remember what's most important. Always remember what's most important, and that's your relationship. And two is delineate your roles. Know what your role is. Because if you know what your role is, and you know what everybody's role is, and you stay in your lane and you do your role, obviously you can step outside and help people. But you're not meddling, you're not micromanaging, you're letting your partner be your partner and letting them take care of the things that they would take care of the way that they would take care of. The way we approach work product, the way we approach communication is different because we're people. You can't control that. You've got to let them be them. You do you, let them be them. As long as the things are getting done that need to get done at the high level, that the expectation is that well, I've already gotten dressed. That's all you can really ask for. And, then we can actually deal with some of the communication issues, right?
Right.
Because they're always going to happen. It doesn't matter. They're always going to happen. But if you keep those things, those two principles, top of mind, everything else can be worked out. And
I think just to bring that full circle, as I'm listening to you say that, it illustrates, again, I think one of the advantages or positives about people in relationships working and communicating in multiple projects, because you and I approach things so differently. And I think listening to what you're saying only reinforces to me that, you're approaching it from a different way than I am. The end result is the same. And it's that ability, like, you're really good at remembering to keep us on task. Because I'm going to go off and I'm going to take forever talking to somebody who I haven't seen, because it's the relationship. It's that personal piece. And so it's important for you to bring me back in, sometimes reel me in, saying, checking somebody in at a golf tournament and I'm talking about 5 other things. You're like, Jen, you got to focus on this. But at the same time, if you were trying to check them in, you're going to miss all the details, so it's that, again, being able to know what the big picture goals are, what your individual strengths and weaknesses are, being able to put them into play, hold each other accountable, and let the person be the person. And just it's that level of support that gets built in when you're in a relationship with somebody that you're partnering with in business.
Well, honey, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this series. We're going to have the next installment of this series, and here on out, we'll have couples, and it'll be 4 of us. You're having a conversation about these types of things, and hopefully that we can learn from them, they can learn from us, and our community can learn from that as well. Because again, some of you have heard me say this. One of the beauties of being a podcast host is talking to people from all over the world. I love that. And it doesn't matter where we are in the world, where you're at, we're all dealing with the same issue.
People are people.
All dealing with the same issue, same exact things. How we approach them and how we deal with them, all the same. And I think we can learn a lot from people all over the world. And I'm actually hoping that we're going to have couples from all over the world. Do you think that one lined up already?
Yeah. Well, and I have to say, this is way more fun, relaxing. I was all worked up about this. So it was much easier to do than I expected. And I think that it is. It's neat. It's fun to share in something. This experience just reinforces some things, learn about other things. I think it's great, and hopefully everyone will get something and give us feedback. And we're open. Tell us what.
Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you want us to talk about. What is it that you want to learn? What value can we bring? And obviously,
we'll do what we.
But again, honey, thank you so much. I do really enjoy this. Look forward to having you on again.
That was good.
Make sure to visit speakingwithconfidencepodcast.com to get your free ebook, Top 21 Challenges for Public Speakers, and How to Overcome Them. You can also register for the Forming for Public Speaking course and book a meeting with me. Always remember, your voice has the power to change the world. Talk to you next time.
Take care.
I hope you enjoyed the latest episode of Speaking with Confidence. Give us a review to tell everyone why you love the podcast. You can also download, like, and share the podcast with friends. Be sure to visit formingforpublicspeaking.com and sign up for the Formula for Public Speaking course. It's a step-by-step system to help you become the confident and powerful speaker you've always wanted to be. We'll see you next time. Take care.